I remember I was serving this couple, and they had kids, and they're like, "Hey, weren't you in that movie, A Christmas Story?" And it's back in the day when you're young enough that you're like defensive about stuff. You have that attitude, like I have done other things as well, and you're bringing them a bagel. Like that's the irony of it was fantastic. So that's what I remember that experience. Right? I'm a very talented actor. I've done other stuff. Would you like the cream cheese on the side?
Welcome, friends and fans, to another episode of GalaxyCon Live, where we are bringing the convention experience directly to you. And we certainly hope you're having a wonderful ongoing holiday season, and today, we triple dog dare you to go back to one of the most beloved holiday films of all time, with 5 amazing actors from A Christmas Story. So, without further ado, let's pour ourselves a nice warm cup mug of Ovaltine and bring them out. Our first guest is an actor whose body of work includes A Time to Live, Kidco, and of course, The Toy. Today, though, he joins us to discuss the role of the tongue-twisted flick. Please welcome Scott Schwartz.
Thank you, Patty. How are you?
Good, boss. How you holding up?
Good.
Good, absolutely. So glad to have you here. And someday maybe we can sit down one-on-one. I'd love to hear your recollections about The Toy. Again, another classic film, directors, all that darts, everything else. There is one thing I'm begging to ask because I'd never get it clarified. I understand your dad worked with Elvis, but maybe not in the traditional sense that most people would think.
No, my dad was the company clerk in Germany in the army. And his platoon, Elvis was in his platoon, and my dad couldn't march. He had flat feet, so he ended up being in clerical school, and Elvis had to come get his pass from my dad every day. How you doing, Danny? Can I get my pass? And my dad would write it out, the lieutenant sergeant would sign off, and Elvis would go to his house.
Nice. Thank you for clearing that for me. I had a couple of friends who are Elvis hardcore fans that wanted to get the answer to that. So thank you for them on behalf of them, and thank you for joining us here today. Our next guest is an actor puppeteer whose works includes Crimes of Passion, Once a Hero, and Quarterbin. Today he joins us to discuss the role of the youngest of the Parker boys, Little Randy. Please welcome Ian Petrella.
Those are some obscure titles that you threw out there.
Well, just got it. And here you are, immortalized in plastic.
Yeah, just plastic. It's funny because everybody complains about, NECA toys breaking, and I think that's the first NECA toy that'll never break because it's just a solid piece of rubber.
There's no. You're right. NECA is infamous for their joints, and although you're a little bendy.
No points of articulation on the Randy.
No, but this is the most fearsome bendy figure of all time. Give it credit for that. So, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. Surviving like everybody else in these times. So,
as we said all year, okay is the new awesome.
Awesome.
Yep, there you go. Thanks for joining us, boss. Our next guest is an actor and exercise science educator whose credits include The Blue Iguana, Better Off Dead, and young Michael Anthony in Van Halen's video for Hot for Teacher. Today he joins us to discuss the role of the mean, rotten Grover Dill. Please welcome Yano Anaya.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Good. How you doing, boss?
I'm doing very well. Well, I'm doing okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay is good. And, sporting the lamp behind you, of course.
Yes.
Nice shirt, Yano.
Hey, right? Got it going on today, man.
Oh, Dad. Oh, yeah, you are sporting indeed. So glad to have you here, my friend. And our next guest is an actor known for Anne of the Green Gables, Titus, and the Resident Evil Apocalypse. Today, he joins us to make us all say uncle as Scott Farkus. Please welcome Zack Ward.
Rawr! Grr! Arr!
Yellow eyes! I swear he has yellow eyes.
Yeah, I always love that line, yellow eyes, because no one realizes that means you have jaundice or liver failure. Right, so poor Scut Farkus never got any vitamin C. He had scurvy. Yeah,
he should have drank his Ovaltine.
Yeah.
How you doing, Zack?
I'm good. Merry Christmas to all my brothers and friends out there. And I'm in Ohio actually, visiting my oldest buddy Julius at his house, and with my wife, and kicking back lots of snow. So really taking a moment to step away from the rest of the craptacular world that is 2020.
Yeah, it's it. The clock is ticking on 2020, and we look forward to the optimism of 2021.
Yeah, and disappointing it. Yeah.
Well, we'll save that for next year. Our final guest, she is an actress whose credits include Murder by Decree, The Amateur, and an obscure 1994 film called It Runs in the Family, which may come up in today's discussions or might not. Today, she joins us to discuss the role of Warren G. Harding elementary school teacher Miss Shields. Please welcome the lovely Tedde Moore.
Yay.
Good morning, Mrs. Shields.
Good morning, class.
Tedde, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
Absolutely. And thank you once again. Thank you all for joining us. Again, we're looking forward to the day when the world does get a little bit back to normal and we here at GalaxyCon can host you on our physical stages and get you all back in front of your fans. But in the meantime, we have this electronic format, the GalaxyCon virtual stage, and we're all glad to have you here today. So our team right now is going through the chat room to pull out the questions. In the meantime, I'd just love to hear individually how and where did Christmas Story begin for each of you? And Ian, let's go with you.
All right. Well, let's go back to 1983. How it began with me is just I was a child actor. Started when I was 3 years old, and it's as an actor you go on auditions, and this was just a regular routine audition. Your agent calls you up and says they're casting for a holiday film. You need to fill the role of the little brother. Go get him Tiger. So as far as getting it, it was just. The thing about Randy is, I mean, he didn't really have a whole lot of lines. He just made a lot of noises. So they just wanted to see, one, did I have the personality they were looking for? And two, could I pass for Peter's brother? And I guess the answer was yes, I got, passed all two of those tests. So that's pretty much how I got it. So, yeah, that.
There he is, the little stinker.
The little side note, that little piece of artwork that I made was actually just me goofing around on the set with Peter, and Bob saw it and said, just leave it. So that's how that came about. My little contribution to the film.
Nice. Very nice indeed. And Scott, how did this begin for you?
Well, I had done 2 films before this, and one of the other films, The Toy, had just come out in the theaters about a week before I saw Bob, and I may have had I think Ian and I had the 2 easiest auditions ever, because Bob and I talked for a little bit. He hadn't eaten lunch, so he wanted to go have a hot dog. We went and had a hot dog, and came back, and he's like, oh, well, thanks, I had enjoyed our conversation, thanks for coming in. And that was it. I left, and within 10 minutes, I was a few blocks from my agent's office. We went over there to say hi. She said, what did you do? And I told her, and she says, well, whatever you did, I guess you did it well because you got the job.
Boom. Rest is history. It seems like Bob was very definitive. It seems like once he saw something he liked, he kind of stuck with it.
Pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
He wanted real kids. He didn't want Hollywood, prompted and programmed kids. He just wanted natural kids, and that's what he was looking for.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely believe that. So, Yano, how did you come on board?
Same way as Zack did, man. Just got an audition. It was super exciting because it was my first feature film. And so mom pulled me out of school. Of course, when you're like the only actor in school and your mom comes there and pulls you out of school, it's like a big deal. Anyway, went to Hollywood, and I think it was at Gower Studios. I can't remember exactly where we went, but there was literally 300 kids there. It was a cattle call. And when you go to a cattle call, it's like you just do your best, you know what I mean? And I just did my job. That's all I did, and got a call back a couple of days later and went back to a callback, got a second callback. And the last time I was there at the second callback is when I met Bob Clark and some producers that were there. And Bob he basically just said, read your lines and have some fun. And so I did that. And he hired me on the spot. He just basically said, I want you to stay here. I've got one of the person I'm looking at. And he came back about 30 minutes later and said, you got the job. So.
Nice. Do you remember what some of the dialogue was? Because you do a lot of roaring and stuff like that.
So I don't remember what exactly the dialogue was after. When I came back into the room, he basically said, just have fun. And that's what I did. You know what I mean? I just acted like a kid. And I think because I took direction well from him, just basically did whatever, that's what he wanted. Is he wants to be able to direct, and he needs kids that are going to be natural, just like, what he's looking for. So
how many people in audition don't take direction and surprised they don't get the job?
A lot.
Yeah. Oh, no. Trust me, I know. So, Zach, how'd this begin for you? And did I read correctly? You were on deck technically for Grover for a bit?
No, it's exactly the same as Ian and Yano. I did cattle calls, went in, and then got the job. But originally, Scut Farkus's dialogue was Grover Dill's dialogue. So when I auditioned for the thing, I was saying stuff like, "Yeah, nah, your Aunt Tilly, get over here."
Okay.
And so then I was in Toronto, Canada, and then I got the job, which was very exciting. First feature film I'd ever done, and I went and got in wardrobe. I went to set, and I actually in wardrobe was when I first met Yano, and we hit it off right away. And then we went to set and met Bob, and I guess Yano had met Bob before, obviously, but I had not. So now we were standing beside each other, and back then, I was 13 years old. How old were you, Yano? Like 10?
I was 10.
Yeah, so he didn't have his growth spurt yet, to be honest with you. So I was about we're still waiting on it. But here's the thing is, he was about this tall to me, right? So Bob looked up and was like, oh, all right, he gets your lines, you get his. And, I mean, yeah, look at the height disparity. That's like a foot and a half, bro. So, so we just sort of swapped lines, and then that was it. And we did the job. And the whole time, Bob kept us sort of separated from the other boys so that we would kind of have a natural competition going on. But that's story for another time. Move on to Miss Teddy Moore.
Indeed. And Teddy, you worked with Bob.
Hey, Patty, I don't want to interrupt Teddy, but I've got 3 different people already that sent me messages, and they can't seem to get it to work.
To get into our chat room?
Yeah, they registered, but they can't get this thing to work.
They should have gotten a link to should have got an email to them, and they click on that link, and that takes us into the chat room and able to view this.
So they might want to check their spam in case.
Yeah, sometimes you can end up in their spam. And if worst comes to worst, try if they're using if they're using one browser to sign up on, try using a different browser if they can, or clear their browser's cache. Sometimes that's caused a little fracas. So work on that. And Teddy, you had worked with Bob on Murder by Decree, a really great film, by the way. And so
good.
And how did Miss Shields evolve for you?
Well, my husband at the time was a film director, and he and Bob were friends. They played basketball together, and they bumped into each other in a cutting facility. And Bob said to Don, "Oh, I'm doing another film, and I've got a great part for Teddy in it." And Don said, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Yes, we're shooting, da-da-da." And Don said, "Well, she's pregnant." And in 1938, married women weren't allowed to teach, never mind pregnant women. So Don came home and told me, and Bob phoned me and said, "Well, I don't care. I said, "Bob, I'm 7 months pregnant. I mean, I'm going to pop in no time. I mean, it's crazy." And he said, don't worry about it. You can sit behind a desk." And I thought to myself, well, I'm sorry, my first big American part in an American big feature film, I'm not sitting behind a freaking desk. So I went home, and coming from the theater, I thought to myself, I can pad myself out. I can make myself kind of big all over, and no one will know. And that's the actual true story of that.
Very nice. Cool. Absolutely, very nice. And you got to wear some pretty interesting costumes and makeup for the 2 scenes as in the dream sequences.
Oh, the dream sequences, yes, I did. That was all a bit of a surprise. The whole thing was a surprise, actually, because I thought when I finally read the script, I I thought, well, I know exactly who to base this on. In fact, I based my whole appearance and the hair and the whole 9 years on this horrid teacher I had in grade 3. And so I arrived in my horrid personality, and Bob said, no, I want her to be uber nice. So, as often happens, on a dime, I had to go from all this work I'd done to this other person. But, Bob, it's funny, I'm getting quite sentimental hearing everybody talk about it, because he was a most remarkable man and incredibly faithful to the people that he liked working with. He was a most unusual director in so many ways.
He was a sweet man.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, if I looked at his career chronologically, and if you had shown me Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things and said, this guy's also going to do Porky's and A Christmas Story, I would have been no. But that was the versatility. He was a director. So any genre handed to him, he took off with, and I think his career, and he left us too soon. Or he was taken from us too soon, I should say.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Absolutely, indeed. The movie, of course, famously was released and we'll say perhaps mishandled by the studio. But when did you all individually begin to realize that it was building its fandom? When did you all begin to realize that, like, oh, hey, that was movies a couple of years ago, but somebody ran up to me and said, "You're from A Christmas Story,"
Nobody's saying that to me.
No, okay, right.
I'm on, so I will say.
You're one of the paper boys from Dead Off Dead.
I will say that it really started with the video, when videos started, and that is actually the first time all of us understood, to begin with, what we had. And the studio didn't mishandle the film. They completely didn't understand it. They just didn't get it. They didn't get its potential or any, otherwise they wouldn't have cut it so harshly. But it was when videos came out. That's when it hit me. Anyway.
I think for me it was when we all did that 20th anniversary in Newport Beach.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's when it hit me.
Because I mean, for most part, you tell people you're in this movie, and they would just say, "Oh, that's really cool. I've seen it." But it was the one at Newport Beach where my first time really discovered, like, feeling like a celebrity, I guess, and only time really.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you.
Back to work. But yeah, for me, that's what it was. It was the 20th anniversary, and then Scotty had the idea to do all the signings, and then it was like, oh, this is pretty big. So.
And we have a new panelist, Zack. Would you care to introduce us to our
ladies and gentlemen? Let's get ready to rumble with Jen McMahon Ward, or the McWards, as we call ourselves. She's gonna go booger off to the store and get some yummy stuff for dinners. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye, Jen.
Everybody say bye, baby.
So Zack, I think it was at the anniversary. That's when it cemented to you.
Yeah, and actually, Ian is 10,000% right. Is like it had always been something on the peripheral. I remember the first time it happened. I was working as a waiter in a deli in Toronto, and I was like 17 years old. So it wasn't that long after. It was the video time, not the TNT time. And I remember I was serving this couple, and they had kids, and they're like, "Hey, weren't you in that movie A Christmas Story?" And it's back in the day when you're young enough that you're like defensive about stuff. Like you have that attitude, like I have done other things as well, and you're bringing them a bagel. Like that's the irony of it was fantastic. So that's what I remember that experience. Right? I have done, I'm a very talented actor. I've done other stuff. Would you like the cream cheese on the side, or would you like jam? So. But Ian's 100% right. It's when we did the 20th anniversary, and it was a toy run in the city of Orange County, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Newport. Yeah,
Newport.
Laguna Beach.
Laguna. Thank you. And apparently, the mayor had decreed it was officially Christmas Story Day or some wacky crap. And I think I went outside to have a cigarette, and I saw this line of people, and I was like, "This is for us!" Like literally, I went outside to have a cigarette, and all these people like. Yay! I about pooped my pants. I was terrified. It was awesome. So that's when it really started.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
Scott.
the film takes years to really develop the following because it had the short run in the theaters, and then it went into VHS, and it sat there for 13 years. And then the marathon shows up. You know, Turner bought the film from MGM, and they start the marathon. And that's really when you started to see things starting to develop in 96, 97. And by 2000, 2003, when we get to the 20th anniversary, then there's the products and it's the licensing and the leg lamps and all this other stuff. And that's really went, for me, I kind of went from being the guy from the toy to flick.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
To the point where you actually have a statue.
Yeah. Hammond, Indiana, the home of Gene Shepard. They
creepiest
put up a bronze
statue ever.
Oh, the best.
No,
That's it right there. The bronze statue.
The statue is amazing, and I am jealous as hell. But when you push a button, his horrible voice, Scott's horrible, squeaky New Jersey voice comes out. He's like, "Hi, I'm Scott Schwartz. I play Flick in the movie A Christmas Story." It is like Mike Tyson and a tiny New Jersey Jew just made a horrible troll child. God, it's the stuff of nightmares.
Patty, we went there to do some appearances and stuff. So every time Zach and I would go outside, I gotta go over to the box and hit the button.
Horrible.
And then I started. We were still signing inside and whatever, and I had recorded it on my phone. So I knew that he was busy. He wouldn't answer his phone. His phone was off, whatever. So I started calling, and I'm getting his voicemail, and I'm hitting play on my phone. So it's going, yeah, this is Zach. Call me back. Beep. Hi, this is Scott Schwartz. I was flicking the movie Christmas Story. I was driving crazy.
Stuff of nightmares, man. Stuff of nightmares.
And of course, that famous scene was done because they had rigged a vacuum cleaner to kind of hold your tongue in place, so to speak.
Yeah, there was a hole in the pole about the size of your pinky nail with a little tube that went into the, like, kind of the Dirt Devil vacuum motor. So it was just that was really all it was.
Yeah. And I imagine people still asking about that one. So
I mean, the luckiest one in the scene really was Tedde, because she had that big costume on that kept her warm, and I'm out there for hours freezing my tushy off, you know. And all of a sudden, here comes Tedde. Hi.
In a dress.
Yes.
So before Bob kind of like said, "Look, will you just let me make the movie?" Did any of you have any interactions with Gene?
I did. Yeah, I got to meet him quite a bit. He often, I don't know, Teddy, if you ever remember meeting him. Yeah, Teddy
He was on the set
a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it obviously because it was his book, and I understood that there was a lot of commotion between, a lot of head bunning. Now, I never saw that because I'm an 8-year-old kid, so they pushed me away. But yeah, I did get to meet him a lot. He was actually
he was very, very, very clear on what he wanted, but alas, he was not the director of the film, so it was the same old writer's story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being in the Higbees, for all of that. And Gene had his little, cameo thing or whatever. And he would constantly go over to Peter and say something. And Bob would be grabbing and pulling him away, going, "Get away from my actors. I know what I'm doing. We don't need you to tell him anything." Gene never, I don't think he ever said 2 words to me. I don't think he actually said, "Hi, Scott, how are you?" I don't remember that ever happening. All he was worried about was Peter, was Ralphie.
Ralphie was him, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ralph. That's that, and that's in all of his stories. As he writes about Ralph as he grows up and joins the army and everything else. And you read those stories. And the great thing about the movie is that you cannot read it. You can't not read it and hear his voice in your head as you read his books. So
right.
So and absolutely. So what's a favorite Bob moment then for the rest of you?
Oh God.
One of my favorites, and it kind of changed. It was a big moment. We're doing the fight sequence, and I have some dialogue. Listen, jerk. When I tell you to come about all this stuff, and we got some dialogue there, and I was screwing up, and I was being a jackass, and I wasn't focused, and Bob did not yell, and you could tell everybody was getting frustrated with me, and sometimes when that happens, an actor hits what I call vapor lock, like the nervousness about performance starts creating more problems, and then you end up like, what's your name? Like you're just screwing up everywhere. And Bob, right? And so Bob like was so cool, dude. He just was like, okay, everybody, yeah, hold on a second. And he walked over to me very calm and like in a great mood and like, hey, let's run those lines, buddy. What's the line? Run it. What's again? The line again. Okay, do it again. Do it fast. Do it slow. Do it loud. Do it quiet. Whisper it. Yell it. Do this. Okay, one more time. What is it? And he made it a game, and he made me comfortable. And he realized that he could get what he wanted out of me if he took the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
He would have it locked in camera forever. And if he just let the crew relax, and it taught me, like I've directed a few movies myself now, and that's something that I always take with me is like taking care of my talent, treating people well. And the only reason you need to raise your voice is if there's a problem to stop someone getting hit from a truck. But Bob always treated everyone with a level of kindness and respect that was not the standard back in the day. As Teddy will tell you, like most directors were jackasses and screamed and swore at people. He was just a really sweet, kind, classy, elegant, genuine guy, and I miss him all the time.
Yeah, absolutely seems like it. Wow. Anybody? I don't know. I ask anybody to top that, but anybody else got a good one?
Well, go Ian.
Yeah, go ahead. No, Ian, go ahead.
It's quick. The only one moment that I can remember is because obviously he had his cameo where he played the neighbor.
Yeah.
And he came in and nobody ever really noticed what his attire was. And I remember as a kid, I knew he was going to do that. And as he was getting ready, I told him, I go, Bob, I said, that doesn't fit what everybody else is wearing. It's not, period. And he just looked at me, patted me on the head and smiled and said, don't worry, it's going to be hilarious. And I didn't understand, but he knew. He just he knew. So, I mean, that's probably my own. I mean, there's so many, but
yeah, there are.
Yeah, I mean, Bob,
the one that I thought was going to be funny for the podcast. So
that's funny. Teddy, how about you? You're about.
Oh, I was just going to say that there's a rule when you're wearing costumes that you don't eat, and it's sort of difficult to stick to when you're basically long scene shoots. And one of the scenes I had was in this elaborate costume, and it had been going on and on and on, and I was absolutely starving. And the craft people had brought some delicious food on there, so I was talking to Bob, and the crafts people come along with a tray. Do you want some? Do you want some? And I took it, and of course there were no double costumes. I mean, this was an inexpensive film, so and the director's right there. I'm stuffing my mouth, and down it goes down the front of my dress. Oops, I said. And he looked at me like this, and I disappeared to the costume department, who managed to fix it up with a hairdryer and blah, 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 the usual. But nice. He was so kind. It was just oops.
Fair. Yano, how about you?
My interactions with Bob were kind of very far few in between. I think the most interaction that I actually had with him was the scene where I jumped off of the car. When me and Zack were sitting on top of the old T model, and when I sat there, and then that's when Zack went down there, and Ralphie tackled him and was beating him up, and we were just really trying to figure, because what they did was they dug a big hole in that area, and they put like an old gymnastics mat, and then they covered it with snow, so that when I flung myself back, that I would just basically land on nothing but soft stuff. And I just remember the conversations about how he was so concerned about me jumping off of the car and slipping and hurting myself that I was like, come on, man. I'm like 10, like, I do this. I ride dirt bikes. I'm a surfer. Like, I do this. And it was like, I think we did 2 takes. It's like 2 takes, and that was it from that scene. He was like, cut, got it, good. And I was like, but I want to do that again. Like, that was so much fun. Like 2 takes, that was it. So Bob, in my experience, is just like Zack, just like everybody's, man. I mean, he was just such a lovable person. His communication style was, he attracted people to him, and it was a way that got people to do things that he wanted to. He was very persuasive, I should say, in a very lovingly way, right? Because he got shit done.
Yeah, absolutely. And teams, let us know we are good to go for questions from our audience. So I'll ask Jude, our producer, roll our first one. And this is going to come from Brian, who wants to know, what was everybody's favorite scene to film? And Scott, let's start with you.
Oh, Chinese restaurant. Hands down. Hands down. I mean, the other night, I'm sitting in the hotel room in New Jersey, and I know it's on, but I know what time, what scene is on, whatever. So all I kept going to was Fragile. It must be Italian. And then it was, I turn it off and I go away. And then I come back to deck the halls with bells of Hori. No. Sing like this. Those are my 2 favorite scenes in the film.
Right on. So Ian, how about you?
Is it favorite scene?
Favorite scene to film. So you give me a favorite scene that you were.
I thought you said favorite scene in the movie, not favorite scene in the film.
Well, I'll tell you what. Go back to you. What was your favorite scene to film? Scott, what was your favorite scene that you were a part of?
Getting in the car and go back to the hotel, dude. It was 25 below zero out there.
Done.
Yeah, it was, being with the guys, all of it. It was, fun.
Fair. Okay, Ian. Yeah, your favorite scene that you were involved with.
Probably just the scene where we got to open up all the presents, because that was just one. We got to open up presents. He didn't tell us what was in them, so it was kind of Christmas.
That's cool.
Oh, nice.
And 2, he really, like I said, Bob just kind of let us do what we want. And I remember the scene where we both look at we open up and we get socks and we throw them over our shoulder. That was us. I mean, Peter and I came up with that idea. And he kept it in. So that was definitely one of the favorite scenes to film. Nice. Favorite scene to watch is probably the whole Higbee's, which actually, I would go back to say Higbee's. And probably the best part of filming Higbee's was just working with that David Sabota guy, the creepy kid in line.
I actually cosplayed as that character for a Christmas party a couple of years ago. I had the scarf, and
we just, I mean, the whole time we just cracked each other up. I mean, he was a great kid. In fact, there's that one scene people say when the kid says, I like the Wizard of Oz, and you look, I give a smile off camera. People are saying, what is that? Probably Bob saying, Ian, don't laugh. And instead of just looking straight, I have to acknowledge him, like, got it.
Absolutely. Another thing about that unwrapping scene was that, again, that attention to detail and the art direction of the film, those classic old toys that looked like they were brand new. I mean, there's the tin Zeppelin and the fire truck and everything else.
Yeah, they were really old toys. In fact, the Zeppelin was an actual antique toy that when they got it, they just were, I guess, renting it, and they had spray painted it to look brand new. So when they wanted to return it, the guy was like, "You ruined it.
The patina's gone.
I don't want it." So they had to buy it.
Oh, wow.
So
they went the budget.
Yeah, really. So, Yano, how about you?
I've got 2 favorite scenes. You want me to answer what I was in, or my favorite scene in the movie?
We'll split up in both. What was your favorite scene to be a part of, and what's your favorite scene from the movie in general?
My favorite scene to be a part of is when I jumped out of the trash can. That was my favorite one.
Yeah.
Loved that. I loved it. It was awesome. And then I had two favorite scenes in the movie, and that's just because of it brought back a lot of I would say memories for me that especially back in those days, like you were managed by your parents, like you knew what you could and could not do, like your morals were very high. And so there was two scenes, the fudge scene, right? So when Mom said, you want to go help your dad fix the tire, like his whole life just lit up, like, oh my God, I can actually go help my dad. And then when he screwed it up, of course, his reaction. And then the second one was when Mom told Randy at the dinner table, my little piggy, right? Basically the way that Randy's face lit up, like, oh my God, like I can actually smash my face in the potatoes. I can be a kid outside of not being like always being watching what I'm saying or doing. Yeah. So those two experiences for me were like one of the epic moments because they got to be more than just the kid that they were. They got to do fun stuff,
Yeah, no, that's pretty much such a. And out of curiosity, the piggy scene, how long did it take to film that?
Until Bob said cut.
Okay. Did they do have to redress everything and get
it took quite a bit. I mean, just that whole dinner sequence took at least like a good couple days. Just because when you're a kid actor, you can't have a kid actor on set for so many hours. So I just remember it was like day 2, it's like back at the kitchen, like what? Just go back to the kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And, we can get somebody else to do this. We can get somebody else to do this back at the kitchen. But the actual, smashing into, I mean, that took, a lot of hours because he just wanted it to look so real. So it was just trying to get me to laugh as opposed to pretending to laugh.
Right.
So.
Nah, but yeah, that's very good. Zach, how about you? Favorite scene you were a part of and favorite scene on the whole?
I think the favorite scene that I beating up the kids was the best time, and punching Yano in the arm so hard that it actually hurt him. See, that was kind of the cool thing too. Is that I've been asked that so many times when people are like, "Did you really hit him hard?" I was like, "Hell yes!" Like, yeah, I punched that little dude.
Takes, by the way, 20 degrees below.
Yeah. And
you were a method actor.
Well, it worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because and his response of, "Ow, man!"
I almost said I quit.
You almost
I almost said I quit.
But it's one of those things, like I was 13, so I didn't have my skill set there. But that's a great scene. And then, so much fun. And then I also like the soap poisoning. That's my favorite one. Whatever happened to you, son? It was soap poisoning.
What brought you to this state?
Right? Because that was the kid that I was too. Like when I would get a spanking from my mom, she'd make me pick out the long wooden spoon, nightmare, and then spank that ass, and it hurt. And then afterwards, you're crying and you're sitting there like, I'll show them, I'll die, and then they'll be sorry. Like the logic's not really very good. Yeah. But I thought that really captivated child mentality so perfectly.
Absolutely. Tedde, bring us home on this.
Well, I'm not a good favorite person, as my poor frustrated granddaughter will tell you. What's your favorite? This, that, next thing. I keep saying I don't have one. But I guess that a part I really, really, truly enjoyed the most was pretending to be a teacher and looking at those gorgeous faces. And they were the sweetest kids, everybody. And I really, really enjoyed that. That was total fun. That was the great privilege of being an actor, is when you get to do something that you will never do in your real life. And it was great. And I guess, although I like so very many of the scenes in the film, I relate the most to the film, the opening of the fragile gift and the poor mother dealing with this light lamp. I do still laugh at that, because that is so painfully true in life with partners often.
It's a lamp. What a great lamp.
Oh boy.
Like, what is that?
Yay.
That is not going in my window.
Exactly.
Darren should have gotten a nomination for that. I swear. Just that whole movie, he really should have.
Oh,
And
brilliant.
yeah, and that's actually my favorite scene. Just like the quiet creep up to it, like, what's that in the corner over there? Maybe we should go check it out. You know, and just he's staring at it. What is that? Well, and he's not doesn't look at her. Well, Santa brought it. You know, and that and the music, the way it swells up. It's the first time there's really soft Christmas music in the whole movie, and it just buttons it well. And again, great cast, great direction, great movie. So, and Brian, thank you. Great question to start us off with. I think we have time for one more, and this one's from Kevin. Were there any pranks that were played on the set? Mm-hmm. And punching Yano's arm 8 times does not count as a prank.
Kevin,
Does anybody want to go? I mean, I can chirp in.
Jump in, yeah.
Scotty, you have the best pranks of all of us because you were the prankster. You were the prankster from Jersey.
Oh, I know. I was the prankster. There was no question.
No question.
Let's see. Between burying RD, his pants in the snow, and shoving snow down his pants. And then I was on the 6th floor, and when you came out of the elevator, you made the right, and the first left was my room, and Bob's room was about 6 rooms down. Well, inevitably, I would be in my room, or I would get back to my room before Bob, and so did Peter. So he would come and we'd hang out, and we would hear Bob in the hallway, and I would call down a room service. Because back then they didn't know what room you're calling from, you know, and I'd be like, "Hi, this is Bob Clark in 612. I'd like a steak, please, and some, I'd like a baked potato." And then, "Oh, absolutely, Mr. Clark, we'll get it right up to you." They would bring in the steak, and it was night after night after night. And after about the 5th time, he finally stopped and he said, "Listen, I'm not sure who's sending me the steak, but can you send me some salmon or chicken? Just send me something else, will you?" He would never turn down a meal. They got to his door. They knocked on. He's like, "I didn't order anything, Mr. Clark. We have your steak." I shook my head. And he would just eat the steaks, and then we'd eat salmon, chicken, and whatever. And I told him years later it was me, and it was funny.
Did he say, "I knew it"?
More or less. I mean, I was the prankster, jokester. I'm the oldest of all the guys, so. I did all the shenanigans, and I think that's why I was on Bob's floor, because he wanted to make sure I didn't go too crazy. Throwing water balloons out the window at we were not the Radisson. It was Renaissance.
Oh, the Renaissance.
Yeah, right off of the lobby. They had windows that you could open. We were on like the 3rd floor. Peter and I throwing water balloons out there.
I actually remember that. You guys were on a higher floor, like the 14th floor. And I remember being there, and you guys were laughing about it, and I slapped you in the back of the head hard because you guys are jackasses. And I'm like, dude, it's like a half-pound water balloon. You're going to kill somebody, you idiot. And you guys are like, titter, it's funny. And I just cracked both of you in the back of the head. And I said, not in my town. You don't get to kill Canadians in my town. And you guys didn't like me anymore for a while, which I was fine with. I remember slapping the crap out of both of you.
Oh, fair. All right. Anybody got another act of villainous hilarity?
Gregory?
Yes.
Not the 8-month pregnant actress.
No. Teddy was the most prim and proper and wonderful teacher you could ever have.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, there you go. And GalaxyCon viewers, this has been my time with the cast of A Christmas Story. Gentlemen and lady, any final words for our audience before we leave today?
Oh, boy, everybody just goes quiet. Zack, me. Hi, Riley. I say hi to my girlfriend out there, Riley, because I know she's watching. And hi, Jen, Zack's wife, because she'll hear this later.
I just want to say we have the best fans in the world of any successful movie, franchise, anything out there. They're loving, caring family people, and we love you to death.
Yeah.
They all have Red Ryder BB guns.
Yes, they do.
And if
Likewise.
to all the fans out there, if you get a chance and you have the desire and the opportunity to donate to Alzheimer's, my father has Alzheimer's, and there's a lot of people suffering with it. There's like 8 million people in the country have Alzheimer's. And there's another 16 to 20 million people in the country taking care of those friends and family. So if you have the interest, please donate to go to alz.org and let's find a cure for this stupid disease. But otherwise, Merry Christmas, and I hope you all have a great 2021.
Ditto.
Ditto.
Stay safe, everyone.
I agree.
Absolutely. Once again, thank you all for joining us here at the GalaxyCon virtual stage. Thank you to our audience for joining us today, and thank you all for your great questions. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care, and please keep washing those hands.